Hey Mark, how's your summer, buddy? Kind of sucks with a softball, eh? I wanted to just give you a few tips on playing that Oasis song. First of all, Oasis is a great way to start playing. I'm not sure how long you've been playing, but they're great sounding songs. You can just grab an acoustic guitar, and you got nice big full chords that really take advantage of the volume of an acoustic guitar. But I want to touch on a couple things really quick. First of all, let's talk about bar chords. I just want to give you a couple tips there. First of all, when you grab a bar chord, I find it easier if you get your non-barring fingers down first, okay? So if you have a major, it's going to be your second, third, and fourth. And then put down your first finger for the bar, okay? Now experiment. What feels better? What makes all the strings ring out? If you have any strings that aren't ringing out, you gotta like recheck it. And is it easier for you for your first finger to come higher? Is it easier for your first finger to go lower? It's gonna depend on where the strings land in your knuckle. Like there's some parts in this finger that are hard, that are gonna be good to hold the string down. Others a little soft, and you might get a little kind of like just not ringing very well. So you're gonna have to experiment with that. The bottom line is, do they ring? And the least amount of effort required, because that's a great way to get carpal tunnel syndrome, is to grab bars and just put way too much energy into it. The other thing I want to point out is psychologically, I think we all get more stressed when we play a bar chord further down the neck that way. So a good way to kind of combat, so that's why F is so much harder. Like, A is like not a big deal, but the second we grab an F, we psych ourselves out quite often. But if you imagine the neck is actually quite a bit longer, almost like imagine a bar chord down here, then an F suddenly doesn't feel that bad, you know what I mean? All right, I want to touch on a couple of things. First of all, so, I mentioned this in the comments as well. Try doing chords that have this, your pinky on the high G, okay? So you can have a C with your pinky there. I want you to play the G chord like this from now on. There's a time and a place for this form with your second finger down there. More often than not, though, when you're banging through a bunch of chords, it's going to be a lot easier to put your ring finger down in this low note and let the chord unfold from there. So in this case, it's going to be 3, 2, open, 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 3, okay? So and that's going to transition the C chord to the G chord much easier, okay? So, you're going to play the C, leave that pinky down, lift up the other fingers, put down the second and third fingers for the G chord, and there you go, voila. And then you got your A minor chord. And you can actually play that high G up there if you want. I think in this case, melodically, it makes more sense to let the open E ring out. Now, the next part is an interesting transition that you have an opportunity to put some of my ideas into place. So you got the E major to F major to G. So what you want to do is make each transition as easy, as smooth as possible. So instead of grabbing the E major, the same way you grab an E minor but a string lower, now that sets you up for a fail for getting to the F major chord, because now you got to rearrange everything to get to that F major chord, sorry. But if you pretend that E major chord is a bar chord, but think of it as a 0 fret bar chord, so you're going to put down the 3 non-barring fingers, and of course you're not actually going to bar anything with your first finger because it's an open chord, so the open strings count as a bar, the nut counts as a bar. So if you grab your E major like that, then you can just transition those 3 fingers and then drop the first finger for the F bar chord, and then move the whole thing up 2 frets to the G chord. So that's a G bar chord now. So instead of playing it like this or like this, we're now playing the G chord as a bar chord. And then you can get back to the C. So you kind of got to grab the C, but most people can do that pretty quickly. So that's something to keep in mind as well, that transition, right? So A minor, but then grab the E major like that, and that's going to set you up for success. What else? Got a couple other notes here as well. I think we just discussed that in the comments, that it makes a lot more sense to grab the F major and then just take that middle finger off, for the F minor, right? Which is really tough. That F minor, man, that F minor bar chord. The only thing that's more difficult really is F minor 7 bar chord, where you take your pinky off as well. But it's actually a really good exercise. If you can play a minor bar chord, then a major chord is that much easier, right? So it's all relative. But yeah, definitely grab that F major first. And don't do it quickly. When you do these things, do it really slow. Like when you go to that F chord, do it methodically, because eventually these things are going to be quick motions, but they're not quick at first. There's a lot of little things that go on really quickly. So again, to grab that F chord, F major bar chord, put your 3 non-barring fingers down first, and then that first finger for the bar, right? Eventually you're just gonna be able to grab it like that. But for now, you know, like think of it as like a little sequence. And when you get that sequence down, then you'll be able to do it instantaneously. But until you get instantaneously, you're just gonna make mistakes and you don't wanna practice mistakes. Okay, yeah, so that's the F major to the F minor. And oh yeah, one more thing I wanted to touch on. So there's that one part of the song that's da 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 da. So I saw you play. It's an E7 or something, or I don't know. But I believe it's an E7 that leads to the A minor. Okay, so that's a function of the E7 chord. E7 basically 99 times out of 100 is going to lead to an A minor chord. So grab that G chord. I think in the example I just played your version, which I don't want to do actually in this particular case. So we got the G major. Now I'm going to show you this chord, which is really cool. It's an E chord, but it has it's an inversion. It's a first inversion. So you got the second note of the chord in the bass, and that's what you want, because the melodic thing that really makes that sequence stand out is a da da. That 3, 4, 5, right? So the way you flesh that out is you got your G chord, but then you have this version of an E chord, okay? It's gonna be 4, then you're gonna mute the second string, okay? So think of it as an X, I guess. 4, X, 2, 4, 4, sorry, 2, 4, open, open. So 4, X, 2, 4, open, open. And if you really want, you can drop that second finger down on the 3rd fret of the B string, and that actually makes E7. So this is actually inversions of a E chord. So instead of playing an E chord like this, because it doesn't sound as melodic when you go, what you want is but same chord, just a different inversion, and that gives you that melodic sequence. All right. I'm gonna leave it at that, dude. You got stuff to work on. I know you're gonna nail it, and these are things that are really gonna take it to the next level. You got the basics, and these little sequences make a huge, huge difference from going to, okay, here's a G chord, to like, oh, how do I get from the G to the A minor to the E, and so on and so forth. And it's a sequence that you wanna really examine and work on your fingerings, and once you get that under your fingers, man, you're well on your way. Okay, dude, see you later.